He is the junior senator from Ohio with only 2 years in government. But JD Vance is one of former President Trump's biggest defenders.
I want to help Donald Trump get elected because it's really important that he become the next president.
In the Senate,
how can we defend Ukraine's borders when we're not even defending our own American border?
And on the campaign trail,
The question is, are we going to send America First fighters to Washington, D.C.?
he's one of the leading voices of Trump's MAGA America First movement, not holding back in pushing the former president's agenda.
Republicans, we need to govern like we won the majority the American people gave us, not like a bunch of cowards. Let's get to work in Washington, D.C. No more talk. It's time for action.
But that hasn't always been the case. This was Vance in 2016.
I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
He was deeply critical of Trump then, going so far as to liken him to America's Hitler. But this was Vance just 6 years later.
The president is right. I wasn't always nice, but the simple fact is he's the best president of my lifetime, and he revealed the corruption in this country like nobody else.
Running for Senate in 2022 in Ohio as a pro-Trump candidate.
I was wrong about Donald Trump. I didn't think he was going to be a good president, Brett. He was a great president.
Vance shot to fame as the author of Hillbilly Elegy, a memoir about his upbringing in a poor, hard-hit part of Ohio. He then enlisted in the Marines, attended Yale Law School, worked in venture capital, and then on to the Senate, his first role in government. On the major issues, Vance has said in the past he would support a national ban on abortion after 15 weeks, but supports exceptions, including for rape and the life of the mother. On immigration, Vance has called for finishing Trump's southern border wall. He has come under criticism for a 2021 interview with Tucker Carlson, where he said the U.S. is being run by
A bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too.
And on the issue of the 2020 presidential election, then Senate candidate Vance suggested he would have supported fraudulent slates of pro-Trump electors.
If I had been vice president, I would have told the states like Pennsylvania, Georgia, and so many others that we needed to have multiple slates of electors, and I think the U.S. Congress should have fought over it from there.
In recent weeks, Vance's false claims about Haitian immigrants eating pets in Springfield, Ohio, set off a firestorm, which he later suggested was by design.
If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do.
Now, the father of two, just 40 years old, after not even a full 2 years in government, is set to step onto the debate stage to make the case why he and Donald Trump should be the next leaders of the United States. One other important thing to know about JD Vance is the close friendship he's developed with Donald Trump Jr., who was instrumental in Vance getting picked for this ticket. The two of them see themselves as shaping the future of a Republican Party even after Donald Trump Sr. is off the stage.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.